In this video, I'm going to show you how to put the settings on your drawing sheet. So it's going to make your life a lot easier. I'm going to start a new drawing, use a standard template. Okay, first of all, let's come down here and look at what's going on here. Let's turn off this grid. So you see this background, that grid, we want to turn that off. It just gets in the way. Let's make sure that snap mode is turned off. Now what snap will do is will force the cursor to click on to that grid, which we don't want to do. I don't know why you would need that. I want you to pay close attention to this. It's the excuse me, third button over. It says Ortho Mode. Let's look at the difference between this. Right now it's off. Now remember, when they're gray, they're off. So Ortho Mode is turned off. Let's go to the line tool. And let's start drawing. Remember, you can just click the first point, move your cursor. You can either type in a distance or you can click. Now I'm just going to show you what happens here randomly. So with the Ortho Mode turned off, I can just click all over the place. I'm going to hit enter to stop. Right click, hit enter, stop. That's not very useful, but you can do that. You can kind of free sketch like that. So with the Ortho Mode turned off, you can draw lines anywhere you want. If we turn the Ortho Mode on, so now it's blue, and I go to my line tool and I start drawing, you'll see that it forces you to draw horizontal or vertical lines, right? So that's typically how you want to start a drawing. Most of the times, the things that you're drawing will have some rectangular attribute to them. We want our drawings to be parallel and perpendicular. Remember that this isn't just about creating an image that you can maybe show me that, look, I drew this shape. This is about creating a file that would be 100% accurate as you can get it, which can be used to generate a drawing, but could also be used to generate like CNC code, to go into a CNC machine, to go into a laser cutter, a water jet cutter, a CNC plasma cutter. So you want it to be exactly right, not just the picture. It's a lot more than that. So now if I start clicking points, you can see I can only go horizontally and vertically. So most of the time you want to have that Ortho Mode on. In fact, I recommend that you always start your drawings with Ortho Mode on, so that you're creating a drawing that is, erase those, that is accurate in terms of being horizontal and vertical. So let's come down here. This one I typically leave on. It shows your snapping references. This next one is really important, and that is called Object Snap, or O-Snap. It's different than Snap. Snap will force the cursor to attach itself to that background grid, which is just for basically for guidelines. The object snaps are actually points that are located on your drawing. So let's say, for example, I've got my Ortho Mode on. I'm going to draw something here. Let me just draw a simple box, and I'm just going to do 3 sides of it. Now if I wanted to connect the endpoints of this, so I come over here to line and I'll find the endpoint of that. It's just a shot in the dark, and you may think that you're going to get it clicked on there. And again, if you put both hands on the mouse, you could get lucky. And same thing here, I want to connect onto there. I'm going to hit escape, and let's zoom in and see what that looks like. See, it's not even close, really. From far off it looks okay. That one's not even close either. So you see the problem. Or what if I wanted to draw a line from the center? Let's find the center of this part. How would I do that? And that's the beauty of these object snaps. Now let me undo that line there. I don't want that line. Now let's come down here, and if you come to the object snap thing, and let's put your cursor there and right click, and this will pop up. It shows you all the object snaps. So what you can do is, by turning these on, you can force the cursor to attach itself to these features that are already on the screen. So for example, an endpoint or a midpoint, a center, a quadrant of a circle, perpendicular line, a tangent line, etc. So it's a really handy tool. I'm just going to click this little arrow next to here. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to right click this, and then I'm going to click Object Snap Settings, and this big menu will pop up of drafting settings. So what you can see here is, for example, if that is, now these are the defaults if you turn that on. If you have this checked, when you're looking for the end point of a line, a little square is going to pop up. If you're looking for a midpoint of a line, if that's checked, a little triangle is going to pop up. The center of a circle, you're going to see a little circle. Intersection is going to be an X. Let's turn on quadrant. That's going to be a diamond. Turn off extension, please. That one will cause you more trouble than you need. The only other one I may use occasionally is tangent, but I don't usually leave that on all the time because it will interfere with quadrant, as you'll see. So what you want to do is have endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, and intersection selected, and say OK. And don't forget to turn this on. It's still not on. Now it's on. So see what happens here when I go to use my line command. When I get near the end of that, you see that green box? That's telling me that the cursor is going to lock onto the exact endpoint of that line. And down here, it'll do the same thing. So now those are perfect corners, perfectly intersected. No matter how much I zoom in, you'll see they always are. And if I wanted to do a midpoint, if I come over here by the middle, you see that green triangle? If I click there, that's the middle. Green triangle, that's the middle. If I wanted to draw from corner to corner, see how that object snap is an invaluable tool. So you always want to be drawing with that on. On rare occasions you may have to turn it off, so leave that on. So typically you would draw with ortho mode turned on. Let's go back here. Turn the grid off, snap is off, ortho mode is on. That snap preference you can leave it on, and then O snap, make sure that's turned on. The rest of these you can just leave as they are. So typically I would start off my drawings like this. Let's look at a circle quickly. Let me just draw a circle. So if I wanted to draw a line that went from the side to the side here, because my object snaps are turned on, see that diamond? That's the quadrant. The quadrant's going to be 0 degrees, 90, 180, and 270. So I can easily click there to identify my quadrant. So it's also really helpful. The other thing I have turned on is center. So if you bring your cursor, I want it to draw a line. If you bring your cursor out here, see that? Oops, sorry. See that little green circle? That tells you that's the exact center of that circle. So the object snap are super, super helpful. So you want to have those on when you're drawing. The other thing you want to do is set your number of decimal places for your dimensions, because eventually you are going to dimension. The default for AutoCAD is 4 decimal places, which is calling out a very, very accurate drawing. Now, depending on what you're doing, unless you're working on really precision parts, you're not going to want to have it dimensioned to 4 decimal places. Because what that tells the person looking at that drawing is that this is some super, super accurate part, which means it's going to cost a lot of money to manufacture. So you can make a part that's not supposed to be expensive, very, very expensive, by having too many decimals on it. So it's really a rookie mistake to leave 4 decimals on your dimensions. Rarely will you see that on a drawing. The way you set that, here in the annotation area, if you click on that little arrow there, and then come over here and click on this little icon, and that's called dimension style or dim style. So click on the icon, not on the standard. If you click on that, and this is going to pop up, and it shows you this is a representation of how your settings are right now. So notice we have 4 decimal places. Go to modify, and this will allow you to change everything about the dimensions. Please don't go in here and change a bunch of stuff. It's very, very difficult to get back to where you need to be. The thing I want you to change right now is go to this primary units tab, and here where it says precision, let's change that. So it's more typical for us to be drawing to 2 decimal places, or 3 at the most, but again, never 4 decimals. It'd be very, very rare. And you can see this simulates what that's going to look like. That's the only thing I want you to change right now. So primary units, set to precision. In this case, let's just say 2 is what we want, and say OK, and close it. Now when we go to dimension, and we're going to talk about the dimension tool in a little bit, so you can see how the dimensions look, and they're all 2 decimal places, right? So that's a setting you want to make before you start dimensioning, so you know, and that just affects how you're going to dimension it. Okay, so we've got these drawing tools set, you've got the number of decimals set for your dimension, and one last thing I want to show you in terms of setting, and that is the layout here. So you have 2 areas in AutoCAD. This is called the model space. So see this tab that says model, and this one that says model. You're in the model space now. The model space is the infinitely large drawing area that you have available to you. So if you wanted to draw some giant thing like an aircraft carrier, you would just zoom out until you have, you know, this thing is a half a mile long. It's very doable. So that's our model space. That's the only time we use the model space to create our drawings. To print them out, now notice it has a black background with white lines. That wouldn't make much sense to print out a drawing with black background and white lines. So that should tell you something. So when you're going to print out, you're going to go to the layout. So if you click on this layout tab, and now you're going to see a white background with black lines. So this represents what your paper is going to look like. If you were to hit the print button, this is what you're going to get. So that should be more reasonable for you. You know what a drawing should look like. It shouldn't be white lines on a black paper. So all you do is go to the layout tab. Now this is the border. You always want to have a border around your drawing. It makes it look more professional. It shows exactly the limits of your drawing. Unfortunately, the default on this this template is it leaves this crazy wide border, which we don't want that. So you see this dashed line. The dashed line is the limits of what can be printed on the piece of paper. The printer doesn't have the capability to print all the way up to the edge. So that's just a guideline for you. So what we want to do is move this border out. So let me show you how to do that. Come out here in this perimeter here and double click, left button, just double click it twice. And you should be able to, now you should be able to click on this, see how it turns blue, and just grab on that and let's pull it up. And then let's pull it out, but don't put it on the hidden line because it won't print then. We want to see the border line. Same thing here, pull it down and pull it out. But stay away from that hidden line. And I'm going to hit escape. That's what my paper is going to look like. Now if I come inside here and double click, notice what I can do. I can roll my wheel and I can zoom in and out. I can hold down my wheel. I can pan. So that's how we'll make this look exactly the way we want it to look before we print it. But first of all, you have to set this border. Unfortunately, with that drawing template, and I'm totally fine with it, it only takes 30 seconds to do it. You have to adjust this border so that it looks the way we want it to look. Right? So let's go back again. When you first go to the layout, it looks like this. Bring your cursor up here, double click, click on that box, and then pull it up and pull it out. But don't get too close to that hidden line because then it won't print. I'm clicking it and then clicking the new location. Hit escape, double click in here, and you can move your drawing around. So we can still go back to our model space. It doesn't change anything. It's just that's just getting it ready for printing. Okay, back to the model space. Settings here. Set your dimension style for your number of decimals, and then go to your layout. Set the border. Now we're ready to start drawing.